Folks, have you ever watched a Raiders game where one tipped pass feels like it tips the entire season on its head? That's exactly what happened in Week 5 against the Colts, a heartbreaker that left Raiders Nation groaning from the shadows of Allegiant Stadium, the mighty Death Star itself. I'm your host, diving deep into silver and black today, because if there's one thing this franchise knows, it's bouncing back from the brink. Just ask Al Davis, just win, baby. But right now, with a brutal 4-game skid, it's feeling more like, just survive. Let's unpack Pete Carroll's fiery Monday presser, where the headman laid it all bare on Geno Smith, a shocking release, nagging injuries, and why this rebuild's testing everyone's grit. First off, let's set the scene on that Colts catastrophe. The Raiders' worst outing of the young 2025 campaign, a sloppy 28-17 defeat where special teams turned into a comedy of errors, coughing up field position like it was confetti at a bad parade. Over the last 4 weeks, it's been the same story. Botched punts, coverage breakdowns, and a kickoff return that might as well have been gift-wrapped for Indy. That losing streak, it's the longest since that forgettable 2022 stretch under Josh McDaniels, when the Raiders were piecing together a puzzle with half the pieces missing. And with key cogs like rookie phenom tight end Brock Bowers sidelined by a nagging ankle tweak and left tackle Colton Miller nursing a hamstring that won't quit, Vegas is staring up at a mountain steeper than the Sierra Nevadas. But here's Pete Carroll, the evergreen tactician who brought 3 rings to Seattle and now channels that always compete vibe in the desert, dropping truth bombs that had reporters leaning in. Carroll didn't sugarcoat it. This turnaround? It's longer than I expected, he admitted, his voice gravelly with that signature intensity. He zeroed in on the killers, the explosive plays in the kicking game, like that turnover return for 6 that flipped the script when the Raiders were up 14-3 early. The big stats don't tell the story, Pete said. It's those huge impacts. Think about it. The Raiders' special teams ranks dead last in the league for starting field position, averaging just 18 yards on kickoff returns. Compare that to the Chiefs, those smug AFCWest overlords who've turned special teams into a weapon under Andy Reid. Andy, by the way, who once called Carroll the professor back in their NFC West wars. Raiders fans, remember the glory days? That 1976 Super Bowl run with Ken Stabler slinging it to Cliff Branch, or Marcus Allen's earth-shaking runs in the 80s. This squad's echoing those underdog vibes, but they've got to shed the ghosts of sloppy execution haunting them since the Oakland days. Now, let's talk the bombshell, linebacker Germaine Pratt's abrupt release. Yeah, you heard that right. No practice, no Sunday showdown with the Titans, just a swift time to go in a different direction. Pratt, the hard-hitting vet who brought thumper energy from his Bengals days, logged 45 tackles this season before the axe fell. Carroll kept it curt. Of course there's a reason. Ouch. Filling that void? A trio of edge rushers, Malcolm Kuntz, the local boy from Las Vegas who terrorized QBs last year with 9.5 sacks, Charles Snowden, that raw athletic project from Virginia who's got the length of a giraffe, and Jamal Adams, the safety-turned-linebacker wildcard whose trash talk rivals the best in Raiders lore. Think Rod Woodson patrolling the secondary like a pirate captain. They all play the same spot, Carroll shrugged, and those guys will work out for us. Tactical shift. Absolutely. Expect more hybrid fronts, blurring the lines between pass rush and run stuff. Carroll Seahawks borrowed from Belichick's bag, and it could juice this defense that's already 9th in sacks but 22nd against the run. No more changes on the horizon, Pete insists. But in Raiderland, where the commitment to excellence motto hangs like scripture, you never know when Max Crosby might whisper for a trade deadline surprise. Injuries. The eternal thorn. Tight end Michael Mayer, that burly Notre Dame product with hands like vices, is knocking on clearance's door Tuesday. Fingers crossed, as Carroll put it, after concussion protocol's been a bear. He feels ready, Pete noted, respecting the league's safeguards like a coach who's seen too many careers derailed. And Brock Bowers? The Georgia star, hyped as the next Travis Kelce with his route-running wizardry, remains week to week on that ankle. They pushed it to Saturday's walkthrough last week, hearts pounding, only for it to scream, not yet. Bowers is dying to play, per Carroll, and man, Raiders Nation feels that ache. Without him, the passing game's lost 15% of its YAC, yards after catch, per Pro Football Focus stats. It's a gut punch, especially when you flash back to Charles Woodson's 07 return, turning a banged-up secondary into Hall of Fame gold. But amid the gloom, a spark, Geno Smith under center. The 34-year-old gunslinger, who resurrected his career in Seattle before this Vegas homecoming, Imagine, a Jet turned Hawk turned Raider, like a NFL version of a Marvel crossover, earned high marks from Carroll. G was solid, Pete broke it down, film study style. That game changer? A neutral zone infraction had Geno eyeing the end zone, receiver wide open, until, bam, a tipped ball sails into Colt's hands for the pick six. Unfortunate, Carroll called it, praising Smith's read and arm talent. Sure, there was a legit interception later, a coverage bust leaving Geno hanging on a pressured throw, but no bench talk. Did you think about making the change? A reporter probed. Pete's response? Pure coach fire, of course I'm aware, but we need to keep playing. Build around him, get the run game rolling. Geno's stats? 68% completion, 220 yards, 1 TD in that loss, efficient, but the O-lines allowed 12 pressures, third worst in the AFC West. Against the Titans' middling secondary, though, opportunity knocks. If Zamir White channels his inner Bo Jackson for 100 yards on the ground, Geno could feast, echoing John Madden's pound the rock philosophy that won Super Bowl XI. Let's zoom out for some perspective, and yeah, I'll drop a trivia nugget. Did you know the Raiders' 4-game skid mirrors the exact streak that preceded their 2021 playoff push, when Derek Carr and the boys stormed back to snag a wild card? History rhymes. Statistically, this defense, led by Crosby's league-leading 7 sacks, ranks top 10 in points allowed per game at 20.3, but those special teams gaffes have inflated opponents scoring by 4.2 points on average. Expert take. I chatted with fictional Raiders beat scribe, Silver Fox, Ramirez. Okay, he's my alter ego on off days, who says, Carroll's youth infusion is genius. Those 2 D linemen who saw 15 snaps Sunday? Rookies like them remind me of Howie Long's 81 debut, raw but relentless. By mid-season, they'll be rotating in, giving vets like Adams breathers. Fan pulse? I cornered a diehard at a Fremont Street tailgate. Pratt's out? Fine, bring on the chaos. Raiders Nation thrives on rebellion, from Oakland's black hole to LA's Hollywood flair. Geno's our guy, let's ride or die. Looking ahead, this week's tilt against Tennessee at the Death Star screams redemption. The Titans, limping at 2-3 with Will Levis' arm turning more picks than a guitar shop, are ripe for the picking. Prediction. Raiders snap the skid 24-17, with Geno tossing a pair of TDs to Davante Adams, that future Hall of Famer who's been quiet with 45 catches but due for a monster outing, channeling his Packer glory. Playoff implications? Slim at 1-4, but a win vaults them into tiebreaker talks in the West, where the Broncos and Chargers lurk like old foes in a saloon brawl. Draft-wise, a high pick looms if the slide continues, but Carroll's not rebuilding, he's reloading, just like Al Davis eyed that Rebel legacy. Raiders Nation, this is your call to arms. Pack the stadium, crank up Silver and Black till I die, and let's turn that losing streak into lore. Tune in Sunday. Will Geno rewrite the script, or will the ghosts of turnovers haunt us? Hit that subscribe for more breakdowns, and remember, in Vegas, the house always has an edge, but on the gridiron, it's all heart. Just win, baby. I'm out. Stay silver.